Alright, what is up, everybody? Welcome to 2021 Duels Winter Finals Round 1. We've got the last couple Round 1 matches tonight. Big Pimpintosh versus Unprecedented Studios, and then we're going to go into Kalaro versus Urbane Olive. Urbane Olive did actually already play against QQ and lost there. But I think Kalaru's initial opponent just kind of hadn't responded in Discord for a couple of weeks, so we give him the boots, and Olive is getting another try here against Kalaru. So, yeah, we're going to have two matches, and then we're going to talk about the round 2 matchups. I've got those all squared away, depending on the results of these matches here right now. And then yeah, so that'll basically be it for tonight. We're pretty on track, which is nice. I think round 1 was hoping to end tomorrow. Round 2 start. So since we are on the last couple games here, everything seemed to work out. Again, we are in this weird tournament format. You can check out on YouTube for the rules and explanation. But this one, our combo is 1A. So for map 1, it is Harmony. It's the map gen biome Monastic Gardens with deck size of 5. And in the first game only, the players must choose exactly one unit from a set of pool set based on what kind of animal it is. So you got light mammals, heavy mammals, reptile, bird, and defense. And then from there, there's no more map restrictions. And then for variant A, no selling, which always makes for some really interesting games. So okay, without any further ado, let's hop into it. Big Pimpintosh versus Unprecedented Studios, game number 1. Okay, spawning in the right, we've got Unprecedented Studios, and up top, Big Pimpintosh, and... Alright, Studios messed up on the deck selection here. So, I don't know, let's see. They have a reptile, they have a light mammal, they have a heavy mammal. They don't have a bird, they have 2 defenses. Whereas, it looks like Big Pimpintosh chose appropriately. So, I'm not sure what to do. The gentleman is, balloon counts as a bird, says P-Boop in the chat. Alright. Oh, no, yeah, you're right. It does count as a bird. Oh, I'm the fool here. Yeah, fair enough. No. Once again, Delphius does not know what he's talking about. But yeah, no, Studios. I don't mean to defame them there. Don't need a lawsuit against me or anything. That is a legitimate deck. So pretty short rush distance on this map. It's kind of interesting that Studios expansions are all kind of towards the opponent, whereas Tosh gets the privilege of expanding away. But let's see how much that'll actually matter this game. I mean, Studios is probably going to be pretty happy for this gristmill layout if Studios can get a bit aggressive here and throw down some balloons in the front, throw down some, work on things like ferrets and turret pushes. So I don't hate it. And generally the map is balanced enough. I mean, yeah, Tosh has an extra gristmill, but we most likely won't get to the point in this game where that even matters. So overall, I think neither player can really complain. Really curious to see how Studios is going to play this one out. Studios, a little bit of a newer player in the scene. I think they've been around long enough to where it's incorrect for me to call them new, I guess, but... compared to an old school veteran like Big Pimpintosh, Studios is definitely more on the beginner range. So I think if you're a betting man, your money is on Tosh this round. But that don't count out Studios. I mean, we've got some interesting mechanics going on. Not being able to sell anything is absolutely crucial. We'd seen on Sunday some matches where, that really ended up hurting players when they go for a ton of tier 1. And then all of a sudden, the game goes on 4 or 5 minutes longer, and you can't really support that kind of army generation. Typically what happens in a regular game of Tooth and Tail is you'll build up a big army, the armies will clash and trade, then you go home, sell off a couple of warrens so you can keep your production in whatever you can. So these players need to be careful here on how many Tier 1 Warrens they decide to throw down. Now, I know both Studios and Tosh are very very studious when it comes to watching VODs and stuff like this. So maybe they picked up some from watching other people play this variant and have some experience. But we'll see how they leverage that. Tosh going for a pretty quick Badger here. Studios did manage to scout it out almost as soon as possible. I mean, right after Tosh threw it down, it wasn't very long until Studios saw it. So Studios will be able to come up with the solution to that, which I'm thinking is probably Fox, but we don't see a Fox yet. Studios instead going for the Ferrets and a lot of Lizard. Maybe Studios is going to look for some blood before that Badger hits the board. Ooh, a little bit of awkward pathing here for the Lizards. No, that is horrible for Studios. I saw what they were trying to do. They were hoping their Lizards were going to come around this way and hit the soft exposed underbelly of Big Pimpintosh there. But half the army got split up and walked right through that carnage, that meat grinder there. And Studios taking some heavy losses. Comes in to check on that Badger Warren. It is indeed still here. And the Ferrets are beginning to shell, but the Ferrets are not going to get enough damage done fast enough. I mean, Tosh, is going to be able to trade here, going to be able to hold off. He might take a little bit of damage from these Ferrets or from this Tier 1, but this Badger will get out, and Tosh is going to remain, fairly unbroken. He's not down a bunch of farms or down a bunch of Warrens. I mean, these trades were just fine for Tosh. So this is looking rough for Studios. I would have liked to see a Fox. I mean, it's still kind of difficult when your opponent has like a lot of Tier 1 with the Tier 3, for your Fox to really get those shots that you're looking for. But Tosh just might have the superior firepower here. Tosh moving forward, he's got some pigeons to back up the Badger. Even still, a couple big Ferret hits on this Badger might be great, but we'll see. Studios moving in. A lot of the Tier 1 for Tosh is starting to fall. The Lizards are able to get up on the Badger, but just doesn't have enough units. I think really what this game comes down to is that miss rally from Studios where half his army kind of came through the meat grinder. The other half went to where it was supposed to go. And that was supposed to be like punch number 1, and then Studios does a follow-up attack, and it's punch number 2 to really brutalize Tosh before the Badger gets out. You can see here in the army graph where that first hit happened, and I mean, it was an atrocity there for Studios. So Tosh taking a pretty straightforward, clean victory in game number 1. But I'm not going to count Studios out yet, because that was a little bit unfortunate on why he lost. So I think Studios still has some potential in this series. Okay, so now that we're past map 1, the only weird rules that are going on is the map gen biome, which doesn't really matter, the deck size of 5, and then they can't sell. So other than that, it's completely unrestricted. They can play with whatever units they want, and it's going to be a fairly, well, normal is not the right word, because they still can't sell, which is such a big mechanic. But anyways, let's get into it. Game number 2. Alright, in the bottom, we've got Big Pimpintosh, and over in the top right, Unprecedented Studios. Okay, so again, they no longer have to abide by the deck limitations here, but it looks like Tosh actually just kept the same deck anyways. He's like, you know what, I kind of like this deck. I'm going to keep rocking with it. I'm curious if, no, okay. Studios does realize the restriction is up because he is running 2 light mammals. So I'm curious if Tosh just likes this deck, or if Tosh is still operating under those Game 1 only rules, which would kind of be funny, but hey, it would be Tosh's fault, Gotta read these rules very closely. There are quite a few of them. So 6 farm Warren coming out from Tosh. Did Studios ever see it? Studios did, but okay, use the mine. I was gonna say that Warren's a little delayed. So that mine will take out the Lizard, and that's actually pretty nice. Tosh just kind of standing here like, man, really? Alright. Generally, you need 2 Lizards to kind of find the right angle on these pigs. The math on this is a little bit funky. You want to try to lock a pig out to where it's furthest away. You basically want to try to minimize how many neighboring pigs are firing on your Lizards, and if you find like the right angle and the right RNG of the pigs, you can get away with getting some bacon with 1 or 2 Lizards there, but not going to work out. Good mine placement there from Studios. Studios does still have a back door, though, which Tosh is trying to exploit. Going to run right into another mine here and not be happy about that. which is going to stop the attack. So overall, these mines from Studios have been fantastic. They've traded 1-for-1, and they've taken a lot of the wins out of the sails of Big Pimpintosh's attack plans. So Tosh just going to rally home. Going to have to take those lizards home. Studios is already on the move with the squirrels. Try to pick up those lizards for free if they can. Meanwhile, it looks like Tosh might go for an expansion. No, just going to keep looking around the map, keep scouting the opponent. Tier 2 is on the way, and Tosh does see it. So let's see what Tosh's response is. Meanwhile, Studio's going to come in, not see a whole lot. A little bit of surprising turret here from Tosh. Maybe he thought you would be susceptible to a counterattack after a couple of those fumbled rushes. But honestly, they weren't so bad for Tosh. Like, he didn't continue to commit after the mine hits, which was really smart from him. And he throws down that quick Badger again. So this is looking like some old school 2018 Tooth and Tail with the one base tier 3. And Studios needs to get the scout off and doesn't see it. I'm not sure what would be the best approach for Studios, even if they do scout the Badger. Maybe start building into some chameleons and balloons. But that could be a little bit difficult. You know, generally what you're going to want against a Badger is something like snakes or a fox or some falcons. And Studios doesn't really have access to any of those at the moment. Good food management here from Tosh. That Badger immediately has 180 bucks to go ahead and get paid for right when it spawns. Tosh also didn't float very much higher than that, which is nice. Man, these mines from Studio have been fantastic. Another little harassment just completely shut down by eliminating the one lizard, bruising up the other ones. They're all going to go back home. But the big story here, again, is this Badger, which Studios has not scouted. And at this point, it's a little bit too late, even if Studios does. The best thing Studios could do if they scout this Badger now is going to be throw up some balloons. But Studios has a pretty nice anti-tier 1 army. The problem is Studios has no answer for this balloon, for this Badger, which has just now hit the field. The big engagement's coming in. That turret is doing so much damage to everything. And now that the big bad Badger is here, and again, you know, all these skunks do great against tier 1, don't do anything against this Badger. And Tosh wipes the floor with Studios' army. Studios taps out. And that is it. So another fast victory here from Tosh with the Badger. Let's see how game number 3 unfolds. Let's see if Studios maybe this time around might pick up some anti-Badger repellent spray. Again, the only weird rules still in effect right now is that it's just a deck size of 5 rather than 6, and you cannot sell anything. Alright, in the bottom we have Unprecedented Studios, and up top, Big Pimpintosh. Yeah, Studios really making some adjustments based on the playstyle you've seen out of Tosh. Seen a lot of lizards, so went for some wire, and of course that Badger will be countered by the snake if and when we get there. This is kind of an awkward map. Looking at it, I mean, it would be easy for Tosh to contain. I don't think any of these games are going to go late, to be honest. I don't think a big late game macro style is in either of these heads. So Studios does have a nice little natural pocket base here. But taking a third base would be a hard issue for Studios. Unless it's really going to come down to whoever controls this area right here. Which Tosh has an advantage on taking that map control, right? And that player is going to have access to these other mills. I think this is the only reason I kind of don't like this as much for Studios. Is Studios leaving the base is going to have to fight uphill. And he doesn't quite have the territory reach to throw down the barbed wire here. Maybe if he really wanted to go for a barbed wire play, he could take this mill, expand the territory, start putting some wire out. But I think Studios is generally going to be playing pretty responsive to Tosh. You know, lost 2 games to the Badgers. He's got the snakes this time around, though, so as long as the Badger Warren is scouted early enough, can easily get up 2 or 4 snakes and target that Badger down. Ooh, Tosh was thinking about taking this mill over here, but decided against it. And Instead, just going to take the natural. And let's see what studio's going to go ahead and expand, or more tier 1. A little bit of both, it looks like. I think this build order is better for Tosh. Getting this turret out is nice to dissuade any aggression, which could happen since Studios does have 4 tier 1 Warrens. And Studios still does not have a Gristmill. Now that Tosh has the turrets, he can feel a little bit safer about farming up, but Studios is going to try to break this. Maybe it could work with just the 1 turret there, but with 2 turrets, this is going to be difficult. Really big squirrel advantage, though, for Studios. If Studios can just target down these turrets very quickly, nice job kind of picking off that first one. But yeah, Tosh really doesn't have very much tier 1 at all. But the problem is just these turrets. You know, really good placement here from Tosh. And this is what I was worried about. Now Tosh can kind of leapfrog forward these turrets and really bully Studios out of ever being able to get on this high ground. Tosh probably going to be pretty happy with that scout, seeing, okay, Studios just has tier 1, no expansion just yet. And here comes that Badger again. Doesn't want to place it down while Studios is scouting. Oh, nope, just places it right there anyways. Tosh is so confident now, doesn't even care. Let's see if he keeps it or if he sells it. Looks like he's going to keep it. So Studios need some snakes here. Yeah, the snakes are now on the way. But the problem is going to be the economy. Studios never got into that second mill. And at this point, they might be feeling like, you know, the better bet is to just 1 base all in. I think especially with seeing the Badger, but breaking through these turrets is going to be brutal. I mean, the Chameleons can help with that. Tosh trying to get through this wire, but no dice. Oh yeah, he can't sell. I don't know why. I was like, maybe he's going to throw it down and then sell it after Studios leaves, but no, yeah. No selling allowed. And Studios is now pretty all in. And I think if Tosh just kind of keeps throwing down turrets here, it might just be checkmate. Let's see. The problem is Studios really doesn't have much to get through these turrets. Maybe if he can catch Tosh out of position, you know, maybe if the Chameleons do a good job of tanking on the front line. But snakes do not hit structures anymore, so without ferrets here to siege, you know, Studios doesn't really have a siege strategy. And does decide to get into that second base, but again, it's just so late here. Tosh is going to be feeling fine. Tosh doesn't even really have to attack. I mean, he could just go right up to 16 farms and drag this game out if he so pleased. Is Tosh going for Badger number 2? Okay. Yeah, Tosh is now just going for style points. But hey, this is a problem, you know. You give your opponent too much breathing room. I was gonna say, you know, if you're Studios, you could like sell off a bunch of tier 1 Warrens, build a bunch of farms, try to catch up in that regard. But he can't. You can't sell anything. The Studios get the scout on the second tier 3. Doesn't look like it. Let's see how long Tosh wants to wait before they decide to push in. I think Tosh has the better army. Tosh can try to initiate whenever they please, and Studios really has no incentive to attack. I think Studios is playing this right. I think their expansion was a little bit late. But if Studios continues to farm up and Tosh waits too long, then maybe something can happen. But then it would become this situation where these bases really matter. And again, that's going to be rough for Studios. You know, only one way in and out of the main. Studios just hanging out back here. Wonder what the plan is. I mean, maybe just watching with this Badger spawns? Oh no, did we get a desync? I hope not. Okay, no. That delayed burrow was worrying me. More tier 1 pigeons getting thrown down for Tosh. Yeah, Tosh just wants to go for a Badger record here. And this is really the stranglehold here. Is the fact that once Tosh decides to start getting into 3 bases, Studio is just going to be very far behind. Is Tosh going for Badger number 4? Doesn't look like it. Just more pigeons for now. Here comes that creep. Yeah, you can't sell these back turrets. I keep forgetting you can't sell. It's something that's very, very taken for granted. All right, I like this from Studios, trying to pick off what they can. We'll end up grabbing that, but if Tosh gets a stealth reveal on these cams, which it looks like he will, oh my god, that is brutal. Studios hanging on for dear life. Yeah, no selling is allowed on this rule variant. And this looks like curtains for Studios. I want to believe. I want to hype it up. You know, maybe if snakes could still hit turrets, but you know, losing those 4 chameleons like that was very difficult. But honestly, I think the big story of this game was just the economy. Just that Tosh kind of got into that second base a little bit better. Studios hesitated on expanding and then didn't attack. There was a... Oh, here we go. Big engagements starting to form. Tosh basically just wants to keep the Badgers alive, not let them get too many stacks of poison on him. A couple stack... Oh, there we go. Some good tags coming out of Studios. Both Badgers are going to die to the poison, but it's not going to be enough. Man, Studios did actually not too terrible in that fight. The third Badger is here, though. And Tosh is going to start cleaning up shop. Unfortunately, on this series, we kind of had games where one big fight kind of decided it, which doesn't showcase, in my opinion, how crazy the no-selling can get. Because this is a situation where the no-selling is very frustrating, right? Because all those tier 3 warrants Tosh have are totally useless. You know, the tier 1 are just going to keep gobbling up the resources every time 20 food gets thrown in. And Studios does not have the economy to support 5 tier 2 warrants. So that'll be it. Tosh will be advancing on to round number 2. Congratulations to Tosh. Nice try there from Unprecedented Studios.